We got our hands on a pretty amazing hybrid camera. It's an action camera, it's a 360 camera, all in one package. Check it out. Hands on Tech is brought to you from LastPass Studios. Keeping passwords on a note or spreadsheet doesn't work anymore. LastPass easily keeps track and creates unique passwords for every site you use. Visit lastpass.com/twit.
This is Twit.
This episode of Hands on Tech is brought to you by FreshBooks, the #1 accounting software in the cloud for self-employed professionals and their teams. Try it for free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/hot. Hey folks, I'm Pruitt. This is Hands on Tech here on twit.tv. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. And on this week's episode, we're going to take a look at a pretty fascinating hybrid of a camera, if you will. And it's the Insta360 1R from the folks at Insta360. It's not just a 360 camera, but you can also call this an action camera. I absolutely love this device. I love the form factor. And then there's a couple things that I don't particularly care for, and we'll go ahead and get into all of that here momentarily. But first off, let's take a look at this. It's revolutionary, as in this is a modular camera. Each individual piece on this camera comes apart. You have the lenses, and you have the sensor, and you have the body. It's 3 different parts that are all clickable and snapped together, and you can just put it in a bag, put it in a backpack, and have 3 different parts, or just pack it as is like this. I love the fact that it comes with the extra lens protecting device on it. It's pretty much just a little bit of silicone, because these lenses on the front of these action cameras scratch so easily. I've learned the hard way several times on several different cameras. Thank you, Insta360, for thinking of that one little small detail. From a tech spec standpoint, we have 5.7K resolution if you want to shoot in 360 degrees at up to 30 frames per second. But if you only want to shoot just a wide angle, like 180 degrees, you can shoot 4K or even UHD at up to 60 frames per second. And if you don't want to shoot at that high a resolution, you can shoot it down at 1080p and get 200 frames per second. Now that's great if you want to do some slow-mo footage. Personally, I don't know if your slow-mo footage is going to look that well in a wide angle, if you will. What I do like about this is you get a nice high bit rate when shooting video. You get up to 100 megabits per second, regardless of the resolution that you're shooting. What does that mean? That means you're getting a lot of data, and when it comes time to do your post-processing, you have a lot more freedom when it comes to doing any of your manipulation as far as speed ramping, color grading, and so on and so forth. But even better, you don't necessarily have to shoot in a regular mode. You can shoot in a flat log profile. Now, all of you color grading folks out there, you're going to love that, because when you're shooting in log, it's not a lot of contrast and not a lot of exposure in it, if you will. So when you go in to do your color grading, you can really push it and pull out more of a cinematic mode, if you will. I know everybody likes to say that buzzword. I hate it myself. But if you want to get a more of a cinematic look in your film, you can use this log format and pop it into Premiere Pro or Final Cut or whatever your favorite video editor of choice is, and really push the colors and the grading of your footage really easily without it breaking down and getting a lot of grain and artifacts in the final image. Audio quality on this, not so much. I don't know why they really put microphones on action cameras or even 360 cameras, because I've yet to hear one that sounds good. You pick up a whole lot of ambient sound, and that can really break down your footage, especially if you're trying to tell a story with it. These things are great for setting a scene, but I don't necessarily recommend using the microphones on these. That's pretty scary. I highly recommend checking out the external microphone option offered by Insta360 on the website. It only costs a few bucks. I believe it starts at about $10, and it's going to give you a much better quality audio because you don't have to pick up all of the additional ambient sound. This episode of Hands on Tech is brought to you by FreshBooks. They make it easy to stay in the black without seeing red. As a small business owner, it's genuinely easy to invoice, expense, and manage your books. You can also stop chasing after the money that your clients owe you. Enable online payments to make it easier for them to pay you. Get paid 2 times faster. Visit freshbooks.com/hot and enter Hands on Tech in the How Did You Hear About Us section to receive 30 days free. That's freshbooks.com/hot. For a limited time, FreshBooks is offering 50% off your first 3 months when you sign up for a paid plan. For new customers only, and offers cannot be combined. Okay, so let's look at the video options on this device. First, you have a lens on the front and a lens on the back. That's for your 360 camera. But there's also, if you have the Twin Edition package, just a regular lens that's only for 4K and it's wide angle. Again, this is totally modular and you can take this extra lens off at the snap pretty easily. I thought this was going to be a bit of a gimmick, but when I tried it out, it is a secure fit. And even though it looks like you can have a gap in between the battery and the extra lenses, there's still a watertight seal in between the hinges here. It's pretty neat tech, pretty great quality there. This lens is only for 4K and it's only going to give you a wide angles and it's not going to give you the full 360 view. This, on the other hand, will give you the 360 view and it'll give you up to 5.7K in resolution. I also like the fact that it has a monitor on the back of this camera, and the monitor is an actual touch screen. So you're not fumbling around with dials and buttons on this device. If you want to change your white balance and change your exposure, or even just change the different modes, you can use the back of this LCD. And I have pretty large hands, and it was pretty easy for me to just swipe through the different menus, tap what I needed, and get right back to immediately shooting within a matter of seconds. If you don't want to use this, you can also use the mobile app on your phone that will connect wirelessly to the Insta360 One R. All of the controls are built into the app and it just allows you to swipe through and change the settings just as you would on the camera itself. Speaking of the app is outstanding, folks. It allows you to go in and post-process these images and video with just swipes and taps. It has an outstanding flow state stabilization algorithm built in. So as you're filming your video, you don't necessarily have to worry about if you're shaking the camera or not. Don't worry, because I know I struggle with the steady hand trying to hold the camera. But the AI will really lock it down and smooth out your footage. If you want to track, say, a skateboarder in a scene, you can literally just shoot the footage, bring it back into the app, and as you're tapping on the screen, going through the different menus, tap on your subject and it will lock in and actually track the subject through the footage and just keep it extra smooth and keep their point of interest right there where your viewer should be looking. It's really, really smart technology, and it doesn't take a lot of mental processing, if you will. It's literally just tap and hit send and it's ready to go. Lastly, why would you use this device? 360 footage can be considered a fad, if you will. I know a lot of people haven't quite wrapped their head around this whole 360 footage thing, but if you're a creative artist, there's a lot of different applications, if you will, for it. Beyond just showing a tour of, say, Twitch studios or showing a tour of a home or whatever, you can use it to create little effects. Think about you want to show just walking through the park or what have you, but you want to be able to get a nice aerial view or a nice up above view of the park to show a wide angle of where you are as well as everything surrounding you. Most people would use a drone. This is not required with this camera. Because of the software, you can use a selfie stick, such as this one here, and just hold the camera up in front of you without a problem, and the 360 video will allow you to pull in and pull out to give you a tighter view and a wider view, just as if you were flying a drone around. Now, granted, you're holding the selfie stick here. It's going to look weird walking around with it, but when you pull it up in post, the selfie stick will magically disappear because of the software from Insta360. It's really, really cool to see how this works because of the way it stitches it, and it just totally disappears and gives you nothing but a beautiful scene that you're trying to show off. Now, if you're interested in how to do your post-processing off of the Insta360 mobile app, you can import your footage into the likes of Adobe Premiere Pro. The software that they usually use on the desktop is just their Insta360 flow state editing software, but it does have a plugin that'll allow you to pull the same footage into Premiere Pro and do all of your stitching, all of your color grading, and everything else that you would do with any other type of video. The one nitpick that I do have on this, if you're using the Insta360 software, you can go through the 360 footage and set up points of interest, as in telling the camera to pan here, pan there, rotate, so on and so forth. You can't really do that in Premiere Pro as easily. It's possible, but it takes a lot of keyframing, and it can be a little bit convoluted when dealing with a spear image instead of a flat file. I think that's probably not necessarily Insta360's fault. That's more along the lines of 360 video in general, but it's something to consider when you're trying to figure out your actual story and your composition for your particular video. You can get the Insta360 1R starting at $279, and that is the 4K edition, or you can opt to get this awesome version like what we have here. This is the Twin edition, where it comes with the 360-degree lens as well as the wide-angle 4K lens, and that's going to cost you $479. This is a great value, not to mention you're going to be able to have waterproof, action camera footage, 360 footage, crispy, clear, lots of data to work with, and you can really get creative with all of the aspects of this little tiny camera. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Hands on Technology. I am Pruitt. I appreciate you checking us out this week. Check out my show, Hands on Photography, each and every Thursday. That is twit.tv/hop. Appreciate you hopping over there and checking us out. And also check out all the other shows here on the network. So just go to twit.tv/shows. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you next week on Hands on Tech. Take care.
Keep up with all the hottest tech news and gadgets. Visit twit.tv. There you'll be able to find and subscribe to all our tech shows. Thanks for watching Hands on Tech.